DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday market report / closing bell for Monday, November 28, 2022. 2 days left of November. Turn the page, rip off that Band-Aid. 'Tis the season. Mariah Carey, let's go! Some eggnog, deck the halls, you name it, we got it here at the ECSI studios. What a weekend. What a weekend if you were an ECSI VIP. We closed the week 10-1. And I don't want to say we're on to something because the college football season basically is over other than the bowl games. We had just been crushing team totals and new spreadsheet. Hats off to Spank Odds. We use Wager Talk. We dabble in some other spots. We've been with Sports Insights since day one. In basketball, Ken Palm. A lot of resources, but, you know, just coming together. And we left two on the desk Saturday night. One box to wire with Texas Tech. One last 30 seconds fluke to BC. 17.5. And they were stuck on 17 for the whole second half and give up 26 points to Syracuse. All of a sudden, not even covering the game, scored late for the backdoor cover, and it would have been a team total win as well. So much to talk about. Listen, guys, anyone that's been watching me for a long time knows I have the Champions Parlay at Circa worth $11K. The night the Astros win the World Series, Alabama lost its second game. Couldn't even rejoice for 20 minutes. I mean, it was like, I'm dead, I'm out. I hadn't talked about it. Didn't rip up the ticket, obviously. Then the carnage the last couple of weeks. We've been waiting for the carnage, and it came. I'm going to bring Riley in and just discuss how I see this. He's a Big Ten guy. He has a lot to talk about in the Big Ten. Obviously, he has a lot to talk about the health and future of Mr. Rogers, not just this year, but the rumblings and everything. So let's bring him in from the Windy City himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What is up, Riley?
What is up, my friend? Happy Monday afternoon. Hope you had a fantastic holiday weekend. As you mentioned, we're up close to the next holiday, so it's Monday and I can still buckle my pants. So I'd say successful Thanksgiving weekend here. So yeah, plenty to talk about, man. I mean, obviously this past weekend was you had a ton of success. I can't say I had the 10-1 or whatever it was success that you had. I had a nice day of college basketball on Friday and a nice day of NFL yesterday, but of course not 10-1. So hats off to you, my friend. But yeah, it was a nice weekend over here as well. So. And obviously a lot of recap, a lot of some news today already. So, yeah, we can take this wherever you want to, my friend. Plenty to talk about.
There is a lot, and I'll try to keep everything short. You know how I get on tangents, so apologies here. It's actually a pretty short menu. There is an NFL game, handful of hockey, not a big college basketball board, so it's going to be more of a recap there. Listen, we're not having this conversation if Ohio State did what Michigan did to Ohio State. Okay. Michigan is who we thought they were. And one loss, Rose Bowl, have a great year. Great job, Jim. You were at the Final Four last year. You're going to a Rose Bowl, and God bless you. Line topped out at around 9, I'd say, when you get the inside scoop that the running back wasn't going to be 100%. So Ohio State comes down and scores. So what does Harbaugh do? He starts throwing the ball in. I'm like, is that Tom Brady? Is this Greasy? Who the hell is this throwing it? And good battle for the first half.
Oh, yeah.
The second half, Michigan just ripped the heart out of Ohio State, not just in the third quarter. Ohio State quit in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. And on my show Saturday with Scotty, he was on Ohio State. And again, no problem with it. But here's what I've said to you since day one, to Julian Edlow, to everyone here. The Ohio State team total has been a cash cow.
Oh, yeah.
The lowest it's been all year is 37.5, 38, and that was against Notre Dame.
Right.
Okay. Most of the year it's 40, 42, 45. There was even a 48 where they got 50. The team total was 32. If that is not a red flag, now most of the people don't go and do that kind of homework. Okay. So now they're telling you Ohio State is going to score less than a touchdown than they usually do and cover a 9-point spread against Michigan. Right there, I call bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And you had it spot on. I mean, hats off to you. You turned me on to that as far as that being a red flag, and I agreed with you. Then I still was like, all right, well, so then it's going to be a 31-20-something showdown or something like that. But, I mean, they absolutely wore him down in the second half, and you're right, they absolutely quit. And I was shocked to see it, honestly, especially Michigan, fantastic season. I still had a lot of belief in Ohio State, and they obviously fell flat on their face and just couldn't scrap their way back in. So I'm interested to see where it goes. I've been seeing your tweets as far as, what's to shake out here, what the possibilities you get your ticket back in the game. I don't think you're dead at all. So I don't know. What remind me of so what do we got here? Obviously, Georgia and Michigan are in for sure. And you said, so I'm curious to have this conversation because you said even if TCU loses, you think they get in. I don't know if I agree. I think they're looking for a reason to keep them out, and if they lose and aren't a Big 12 champion, I could see them keeping themselves out of it. Honestly, I could see them staying out if they lose.
That was my take leading up to Saturday.
Okay,
we were waiting for them to lose the last 2 weeks. Okay,
yeah, definitely.
And who did they play 2 weeks ago?
Well, they had Baylor where they barely escaped, if that's what you're talking about.
Okay, and who did they? I thought there was 2 games, or maybe it was leading.
Well, they were like a touchdown dog to Texas before Baylor.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
So we were expecting them to lose to Texas. They were 7-point dogs. Okay, if not, Baylor's going to get them. And then it opened up my eyes, and here's why it's clear now: is you got an undefeated Georgia team, and if LSU had won last week and LSU had beaten Georgia, they both would have been in. LSU would have got in. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
LSU is gone. Tennessee 2 weeks ago losing to South Carolina. They're gone.
Toast.
Clemson losing to South Carolina. They're gone.
Right.
Okay. So now I'm sitting here. We got 3 undefeated teams.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, Michigan, and now TCU. TCU opened up my eyes saying, win, lose, or draw, they're in. That's my take on it. Now, I might not be correct because they're looking to get another team in there. They don't think TCU deserves it. Okay, so let's look who's outside looking in. Ohio State, only leg to stand on is if Notre Dame would have beat USC. Here's why. Sure. USC would have been out, and Ohio State beat Notre Dame.
Right.
So they could have started saying, hey, listen, you were going to put USC in if they beat Notre Dame and they won the Pac-12. Well, guess what? Notre Dame just knocked them off, and we beat Notre Dame.
Right.
They don't have that leg to stand on anymore. Okay? Right. So the committee's going to decide, are we going to slide Ohio State all the way past Alabama? What did Alabama do since they lost to LSU on a 2-point conversion? They just kept winning. They just said they kept their head down. They kept winning. 2 weeks ago, Tennessee was minus 240 to get into the dance. That's all they had to do was beat a South Carolina team that they were 2 touchdown favorites. They lost. They gave up 63 points.
Right.
Okay. So here's my take on this. USC, who really opened up 1.5-point favorites, by the way, against Utah, a revenge spot, their only loss on a 2-point conversion late in that game in the last minute. Yep. USC is now 3-point favorites. They win, they're in.
100%.
Okay. If TCU, who currently is they were a short favorite too. Okay, and now they're getting. Hold on 1 second here. TCU, they opened up a 1.5 point favorite. They're 2.5
Yeah.
against Kansas State. Now, I guess you could say a one-loss TCU team isn't worthy if they're not worthy. Okay, in other words, these teams are gifted an extra game. They're in their championship. Sure. Okay. So I don't think you can hold it against an undefeated TCU team who just beat Texas, who just beat Baylor, who has beaten some good teams and kind of handle. Yeah, they had some squeakers, but they found ways to win.
Yeah.
So I'm going to flip. I'm going to throw you the bomb right now, the Hail Mary. Tell me how a one-loss TCU team, A, doesn't get in, and B, who gets in over them.
I think I think if they, and it wouldn't shock me if they get the doors beat off of them and lose 40-21 or something like that, and their defense is what we've seen at times. I think they could be left out, honestly, to either one-loss Ohio State and maybe Alabama, but. I don't know. It's the case of if you believe they're going to favor the Big Ten or SEC, especially the way that the landscape is going over a TCU team that of course they've won, and I hope they can still get in. But I don't know. I if they have a hard fought game and they barely lose, then I think you're right. They still get in. But if they get the doors beat off of them and their defense gives up 35, 40 points, I could see them giving favor to a one-loss Ohio State team still. Honestly.
Do you have Bama? Do you have Ohio State in front of Bama right now?
I don't know, honestly. Personally, probably not, but I don't know. It's the two. Everyone's going to be upset about the two losses, but I don't think they care about that. So I don't know, honestly. I don't know how they're going to shake it out. It's a hard I don't know for me. It wouldn't surprise none of this would surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if you're 100% right. It wouldn't surprise me if TCU loses and someone jumps them. None of this would surprise me.
And here's the funny now is the Tennessee guys are jumping out because a two-loss Tennessee. How can you put a two-loss Alabama team in front of Tennessee totally. Because they beat you? Well, don't let me bring back that game up when Alabama was up 7. They picked you off and they ran the ball all the way back to your 20, and then there was a phantom flag play. And the fact is that you tied the game and then you eventually won the game. But so now the funny thing is if TCU loses and USC loses. Now there's bedlam because people are going to bring up the fact, all right, put Alabama at 3, put Ohio State at 4. So now you get Georgia, Ohio State, you get Michigan, Bama, and everyone's happy there. But I just think 3 undefeated teams going in that are gifted an extra game because they're in their conference finals. I think they're in. I honestly think they're in right now. And then USC controls all the cards, and that's Friday night. And we talked about Saturday. Nebraska went in on Friday, opened up bedlam Saturday for the Big Ten. Right. So I wouldn't be shocked if Utah pulled the upset. Then it's going to be bedlam again on Saturday.
I know, and I can tell you, Michigan's hoping, and Alabama doesn't slide up to 3 or something like that. I promise you, they're hoping for probably TCU to take care of business and it be a Michigan TCU game because then Michigan's got a fantastic opportunity to get to the championship, right?
100%. And listen, I wasn't a believer. I'm not a team tacky guy. I just started to look at what Michigan had done, and I wasn't buying the sizzle. I was more into the steak. Listen, Ohio State, I thought was a great team all year. I think they were offensively, they can score with the best of them. Vegas gave me the inside scoop when I saw the team total 32.
I can't disagree with you. It should have been a bigger red flag for sure. And I guess I personally believed in Ohio State's defense more than what they showed in the entire game, let alone quitting in the second half there. So, I hope we get a little chaos and, we get some interesting or the selection show or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a sight to see as opposed to just having all the answers beforehand. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I was obviously hoping for my Illinois Fighting Illini to get in the Big Ten West side of things and get a second shot at Michigan, but obviously that didn't happen. But I mean, Big Ten, you got Luke Fickell to Wisconsin now. You got Matt Rule officially going to Nebraska. So, the Big Ten's shaking up a little bit already.
I talked about that on Friday. I told everyone that's the rumor. That was going to happen on Saturday. It did. I don't know all the details. I know he was owed $40 million from the Panthers, so I don't know. I guess it was $8 million a year that he's going to get from Nebraska or something. He got a long contract. I don't know how much of the Panther money's connected to that or what the buyout or whatever. He could have sat on his ass for the next 4 or 5 years and just collected. But being a coach, being involved in that, you want to get back out. You want to, hey, listen, I sucked at Carolina. I never should have went to the NFL. Now you want to take a once proud program. Listen, this is a great spot to be in. I know they don't get the recruits. I know you got to change the whole setting. Listen, he did it at Temple, and then he took that Baylor team that was on death row and turned it around.
I mean, of all the near death penalty situations of at least in my lifetime, the last 20 years, it's the Penn State situation with obviously everything that happened there, and then at least off the top of my head, obviously Miami back in the day, but last 15 years, that Baylor program, people forget how much of a mess that was, and Matt Rule within 3 years turned it back around, and then obviously now it's steadied out a little bit, but it was an absolute mess for a minute. And you're right. Is it going to get them Nebraska to the promised land again? I don't know. But now that we're expanding into 12, if he does what he did with Baylor, off the top of my head, I don't know. But his last season at Baylor, I imagine they would have been a top 12 team there. So, he could absolutely get Nebraska back into that respect there for sure. What do you think about Luke Fickell? I kind of like that move. Tough for Cincinnati, but a lot of Wisconsin people are, upset about Leonard not getting a chance, and I know a lot of people love him. But, Luke Fickell coming back to the Big Ten. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, the fact of the matter is, last year they were in the Final Four. This year, great year. Changing of the guard, Tulane gets them in a hard-fought game last on Saturday. It was time. In other words, you can take a program only so far, and then it's time to move on. And I kind of, listen, I'm comparing apples and oranges here, but you look at like a Brad Stevens, what he did to the Butler program. Sometimes you just stay there. Krzyzewski, the Dean Smith of the Roy Williams, who went from Kansas to North Carolina, but the Jay Wrights, that's where you stay and you just reap the benefits, or you get bored and you want to go to a bigger project. and so I think, the Big Ten, I mean, the fact that, USC and UCLA are coming, it's big times in football. The SEC is going to get bigger. You're just going to start to see these monster conferences. And it's all about winning. You have the transfer portal. These guys now are getting paid. It's not as easy as it was back in the day, but you have a quicker window where you can flip the switch and turn a program over. Look at what Lincoln Riley has done to USC already.
Right. I think he's a solid fit. I mean, obviously, he already has roots in the Big Ten. And, you know what? Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. But, with what you said about, obviously with Big 10 and SEC, those are going to be the two kind of standing just a bit above everyone else. So no matter, even if Cincinnati moving to Big 12 and what we've already had is still the current landscape, this would be a step up for him. So and it's hilarious. Packers/Wisconsin fans are calling for Jim Leonard to be the DC for the Packers next year. So we'll see what shakes out. Obviously, we'll see how that one shakes out. But I don't know. I think it was a good move. And I think after a while, if anyone was upset about Leonard not getting the job, they'll probably be pretty happy with Fickell, in my opinion.
I'm going to change gears here. The NFL just never, I don't know what the correct word is, a phrase there. Every Sunday's a different Sunday. I woke up Sunday morning, I'm supposed to be singing Kumbaya. I'm supposed to be dancing and romancing. And I just looked and I looked and I looked, and we put together our action parlay. We had the Atlanta Falcons, who the whole world was on Washington. We had them plus 4.5. We bought a full point. We had them on the money line. First and goal from the 4. They've been running the shit out of the ball all day. Washington blew its final timeout. And then they thought they were Seattle versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and Mariota throws it down there. What's the only thing that can happen? The ball gets tipped, intercepted. Thanks for playing. And actually, they held them. They had 3 timeouts. They held him to a punting situation, and they run
Yeah.
into the kicker. And so so once that was blown, we got our asses handed to us. Went against Huggy Bear in West Virginia with Florida, and they got blown out of the building. And then in hockey, we had the Sharks who lose to Vancouver in the shootout. So that is the moral of the story. What ECSI does. You're 10-1 to end the week. You're up 5 units. You put a little parlay together to scratch the itch. You go collect your 4.5 units. I don't care what happens on Sunday because that's called Quicksand Sunday for a reason.
Yep, 100%. And I'm kind of treating today a little bit like that because I had a huge day on Friday and then another decent day yesterday where I'm thanking my lucky stars because I had some overtime thrillers as far. I was on the Raiders. I had that one pulled out in overtime. Cleveland as well. And Jacksonville, and that one wasn't overtime, but obviously third and forever, cutting it down to 4th and 5 or whatever it was, and I'm thinking my lucky stars today that I'm in the green, but and then like you said, I'm trying to think. I had a family event yesterday, so I only got to see. I watched a lot of as many highlights as I could, and I obviously watched all the Packers game last night. But I mean, how about Denver? 10 points. Carolina, when they've obviously when they've showed up defensively, have had some really nice performances. But I don't know. Is this rock bottom? And do you think they turn it around, or do you think there's a deeper rock bottom for this offense right now in Denver?
What transpired? I'm going to start here. What transpired last night and what the rumblings are. Okay, so Packers, good performance first half. Again, when the quarterback's running for 150, 160, 170 yards, Miles Sanders is running for 130 yards, and the team as a whole is pushing almost 400 yards. And then we already knew about Rodgers' thumb, and then he runs into the locker room, which was an oblique issue. In comes Jordan Love, and let me just tell you something again. That Christian Watson's got speed to burn. Catch him in stride. He looks like Jerry Rice out there.
I know.
Holy moly. And again, now is he done for the year? Is he done for good? What are we taking for a cap hit? And then you add Denver. What is Denver taking for a cap hit? Fire Hackett, release Russell. They wanted Rodgers the whole time. Let's bring Rodgers over. So get it from a Packers perspective. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you thinking? I mean, you're done. You're out of the playoffs. Yeah. Minnesota win, Lions lost. They already clinched the division. What are you hearing? What are you thinking?
To start it off, I mean, offensively, it was maybe the least frustrating full offensive performance from the entire team, aside from, take away the two. And, of course, Rodgers himself, the first interception in their own territory set up another. You put him down 14-0, and then you had the interception in the I don't remember what point in the game exactly it was, but deep into their territory, and that was it felt like it was the biggest change of the game. And then obviously some, wild, huge fumble return, whatever. It seems like if he's good to go, he's going to fight and play as long as they're mathematically alive, which they technically are, which they'd have to, run the table and hope that 9-8 is good enough to get that last seed, which even if it is, it's obviously kind of, a fool's gold almost at this point. It absolutely is. And there was some optimism that if we could have pulled out that game last night, we might have a couple backup quarterbacks down the pipe the next couple of weeks, or either that or a bad Bears defense to exploit this upcoming weekend, and then an ugly Rams situation, and then after that 3 more, and who knows what happens after that. But obviously 4-8. I don't know if Rodgers, like I said, if Rodgers is healthy, he apparently is trying to go this upcoming weekend, but it's not like he's going to be 100%. He's going to have some type of banged. Still is his thumb issue. Still, some type of I think they changed it to a rib situation as opposed to oblique. So one way or another, he's going to be banged up. So I don't know if he's not going to be 100%. So it's really bizarre. And obviously, you want to see what you've got in Jordan Love. So I really don't know what they're going to do this weekend. It's I guess I'll take a wild guess and say Jordan Love because unless Aaron Rodgers is skipping into the practice facility tomorrow, which they're apparently going to is when they find out. I can't imagine he's going to be 100%. So you would feel strongly about whoever's playing quarterback that you can still take care of the Bears. So I don't know. It's the biggest question mark that I've had in a long time following this team for sure. You have to be pretty excited about Jordan Love, but then again on the defensive side of the ball, even whenever you start to have parts of optimism, the defensive performance last night was absolutely pitiful. I mean, there was 58. I think LaFleur said it was by far the most missed tackles they've had since he's been here. So something has to change as far as the the toughness of this team going into next year, and whether it's the end of this year or not, I don't know. But if that doesn't change, then you can essentially say this defense has quit because that's what it looked like last night. Yeah, obviously you had the couple 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 stops. The second one was kind of a gift. They botched the snap and whatnot, so I imagine they would have gotten that if they didn't botch the snap in that play. So I don't know. The defense looks absolutely pitiful. Joe Barry is making head-scratching decisions as far as schematics and alignments and whatnot. So I would imagine his job is in jeopardy. As I mentioned, people were somewhat seriously talking about Jim Leonard as being their defensive coordinator next year. Doesn't matter to me. I just want someone who's going to utilize our studs on defense the right way. I mean, we paid Jair Alexander how much money, and he's kind of being used as a decoy almost, or just not really imposing his will on. He's making plays when he can, but it's a mess right now. So offensively, like I said, it was probably the least frustrating game as far as being able to move the ball. A.J. Dillon had the best game that he's had all season by far. The first time I finally stopped, I went against the rule. I mean, I had gone back to the well 4 or 5 times, I don't know, trying to expect him to have a nice game, and he didn't. And now finally I jump off, and I don't remember what he finished with, but obviously had a touchdown and I think a decent amount of yards both ways, rushing and passing. So and Aaron Jones looked fantastic, and like you said, Christian Watson. So as far as if we could right the ship as far as get our defense in, because I still love a lot of the talent that we have going forward defensively. I mean, we got Jair Alexander for a while. We'll have Rashawn Gary for a while. Having those 2 pillars on your defense, I'm still going to have some optimism if we can get things going in the right track going forward. And then offensively, going into next season, I don't know. If you can figure out all this situation, cap issues, whatnot, then maybe you'll have some optimism. But obviously, we're probably feeling like we should have made a different move before this offseason. So, and Jordan Love, every single game he's come in, going back to last season, he's looked better. Obviously, it's two drives at a time in most cases, so, what can you make out of that? But the optimism level for him is certainly going up and went up after last night. So we'll see, my friend. I think if we lose to the Bears, I would feel pretty confidently that Rodgers might be shelved for the season. But again, he might try and be out there. I don't know. And like I've said, I think Mike White put up 31 on the Bears defense yesterday, so I think you and I could put up at least 24, 25 on that Bears defense. So I'll have my optimism this week, but I don't know. It's going to be it's been a long season. It's been frustrating. I've made peace with it for the most part, so I'm not ranting and raving for the most part up here. So we'll move on. Hopefully we can get things on track with some optimism going forward. But it's going to be an interesting few weeks, and you have to imagine Rodgers going to, if he's able to go, he's going to fight for a chance to at least, like he said, he said it. If they're mathematically alive, he's going to want to be out there. So for now, that is still the case. But like I said, even 9-8, you don't feel very good about that. Making the playoffs, especially with Washington winning yesterday. So we will see, my friend. We will definitely see in a couple of weeks here.
I think Vegas holding out option. 2 things I see: an open number of Packers -3 with a 44.5, now 42.5. That says 2 things to me. They're holding out hope, that Rodgers plays, and that number maybe reflects that Fields still won't play. So that's number 1. Number 2, sometimes you got to rip the Band-Aid off. Now, in other words, you paid him. I don't know how much was guaranteed. I saw a cap hit of like 30-something million for next year. If he would to retire / move on somewhere else. The thought process of a young, energetic, hungry kid like Jordan Love working with young wide receivers who are going to make mistakes. They're all going to make mistakes. But the one thing that you have is 2 solid running backs. And all year you talked about, hey, listen, the colder weather it gets, the better A.J. Dillon's going to get. And you still got Aaron Jones. So Watson is emerging. Dubs, Dubs, whatever you want to call them, probably be ready next week. Okay, you have some pieces. The defense let you down, but I'm going to just say this. Philly does that to anyone that comes into their place for the most part, especially on a primetime game. My take is, Aaron, thanks. I want to see what we got here for the next 4 or 5 games. Go do some commercials. Go on Pat McAfee on Tuesday. Do whatever you want to do. We'll address this situation after the season's over. Do you want to retire? Do you want to go somewhere else? We'll figure it out.
Right. And that's the tricky situation, because if Jordan Love's balls out for 5 straight weeks, then, you're probably feeling, I mean, it's almost it could have been almost an exact situation if you had gotten a little more tape of Jordan Love. Of being ready to move on from Rodgers, even if you felt like maybe he still had some high-level play, which is what happened in the first situation. But, I mean, Watson is looking fantastic. I think, offensive line the health has been more consistent, and it's been, better than what it was earlier in the season. If you can guarantee me that, our guys that have had health issues are going to be, even healthier going forward than they were this year, then I'm going to have a lot more optimism offensively. But, I still have. You're right. The Eagles do that. I've had issues, with the schemes, alignments, whatever, with our defensive efforts all season long, and there's still something missing. Like I said, as far as toughness and finishing tackles and that hard nosed football that we just don't have, especially defensively. That I hope we can. That's I don't know who that is to fix those issues, but some type of leadership, I guess, is what I'm saying is really what they've lacked. And I like Matt LaFleur in a lot of senses, but he's obviously not that get the guys hard-nosed type football type of guy. So we'll see what goes forward. But I'm with you. And the Bears defense, Jordan Love. Against the Bears defense would be a pretty good confidence potentially booster and good idea of what you got if you give him a full game against the Bears. But if Justin Fields is playing, I'm going to be nervous as far as the tackling issues that we've had, and if we have some heart and aren't giving up on the season, then maybe we'll bounce back. But if not, then he's going to be running for 150, 200 yards just like we saw last night and what he's done already. So. I got some optimism this weekend, but especially offensively. But we'll see who's ready to go for them. And if it's not Justin Fields, then I'll feel pretty definitely solid about the Packers' chances. But we'll see. I'm sure we'll have more info when we get there.
And I'll close with this: is sometimes greats mask a lot of problems, and you look for 2 decades with the Patriots. Bill and Tom were put on the same level. Without each other, I don't think the Patriots would have been who they were for the past 2 decades. Tom leaves, gets a Super Bowl, and was 30 seconds away from getting to the conference championship last year, and divorce issues, whatever, tough loss against Cleveland. But they're in a division where, you know what? I was talking to some colleagues last night. They're in a division where they're going to find a way to win, and then they're going to get matched up against the Heinekes of the world. They're going to get matched. Are you afraid of Kirk Cousin in a playoff? No. So, the fact of the matter is 3 years ago, you get blown away in San Fran. 2 years ago, Tom comes in and beat you, and last year you get beat again at home, where you couldn't go into Lambeau in January and win. I don't care whether it was Favre, whatever, you couldn't. Now, you're showing some chinks into your armor. I think it's time. Listen, just rip that Band-Aid off. You drafted this kid in the first round for a reason. And listen, LaFleur and Rodgers don't see eye to eye anyways. I think LaFleur's got to pull up those pants and make a bold move and say, hey, you know what? Thanks for all you've done. It's time.
I think so. Yeah. Sorry to keep cutting you off.
No.
Yeah. And I guess if Love comes out and is a total dumpster the next 5 weeks, then maybe you have a better idea of how you need to proceed. But I mean, and then if that's the case, then, maybe we're in the conversation of 4-5 and 12 team or whatever. And we've got to, the Texans are on a plane of their own for the 1 seed. Everyone else is, 3-4 wins. I don't think anyone has 2 wins right now. So we're closer to the bottom than we are making a run at the top. So, or not the top, obviously, you know what I mean, as far as miracle last five straight wins here. But I'm with you, and there seems to be a better chemistry there is a better chemistry as far as Jordan Love and LaFleur. So I don't know. We'll see this week, and I'm sure tomorrow, whether it's before McAfee show or during McAfee show, we'll probably have a better idea of what we're gonna see this upcoming weekend.
There is a game tonight, believe it or not. Pittsburgh travels to Indianapolis. Opening number 2.5 and a 38.5. It's still 2.5 with a 39.5 or a 40. I looked at the team totals. This has got 20-17, 21-17 written all over it. I like Pittsburgh. I would take by the hook. I would take them up to 3. I'd sprinkle a little something on the pizza and beer. Little something on the money line, a little pizza and beer action there. I'm staying far away. The ECSI VIP's already got their play. One hockey game today. Any thoughts on the NFL game?
No, I think we have similar feelings as far as this one. I don't have a play on it. I think I would lean towards Pittsburgh as well. I would. They're a team that it doesn't matter where they're at in the standings, back against the wall. Now you got TJ Watt back, so obviously you're 3-7, but you probably don't feel like you're a 3-7 team. So I'd feel pretty good about their defense putting in a really nice performance tonight. It's just a matter of if the Colts come out prepared for that or not. I don't know. So I lean towards the Steelers having a nice performance. I'm not saying I'd take the Colts under 20.5 or whatever it is, but I could see this being a 17-14 game, even as much as I could see a 20-17 game. So I could see it being a nasty, crimey, not very entertaining, high-flying game, but a solid defensive game. And maybe Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh offense is the X factor in this one. I kind of believe in the Pittsburgh defense to take care of business in this one, I guess is where I would go. But, again, I don't have any plays on it right now.
Let's just talk some quick props in these games. If you can pull them up, I'll go on the Pittsburgh side. That's too easy. What is Pickens anytime touchdown?
3-1 plus 300.
Okay, so I'll go there. And Pittman's way too easy. Let me ask two of them. What is Pittman and what is Paris Campbell?
Pittman is 2-1 plus 200. Paris Campbell 310 plus 310.
All right, so I'll take the 3-1s. I'll go Pickett to Pickens, and I'll take a shot with Paris Campbell. And my last question on Paris Campbell is, what is his over-under on receptions today?
Let's see. Did you say Paris Campbell?
Yes.
Campbell receiving yards 46.5. Campbell receptions over 3.5 minus 138.
I'll go over the 3.5 for minus the 138.
Okay. I can see it for sure. Let's see. Yeah, I imagine you were saying Jonathan Taylor too easy minus 160. I won't be going there either. Najee Harris plus 120. I won't go there. I like taking my running backs, but I don't know. I'll stay away from that one. I'll go Freiermuth. I'll go a tight end touchdown for Steelers plus 250 for Freiermuth there, and then I will go. I like the thoughts with the two that you laid out there. I'll go Mo Ali Cox up to 6-1. I won't go there. That's pretty steep. I don't know. I'll double down with you on which you said you liked Campbell to get in the end zone for Indy there. I'll double down with you on that one. I like that one as well.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of looks of late, and I think he's going to fly over. He should be in that 7-8 category on the receptions, and I think he'll find the end zone. I mean, I think Pittman might get in there as well. You can throw on Pittsburgh. Now, the question is, is TJ Watt staring you in the face, and is Matt running for his life? So that's the question.
Both quarterbacks minus 122 to throw an interception, minus 108 to the no. Are you going yes or no on either of these guys if you had to?
I'd say yes to Matt Ryan.
Okay. I like a little plus money on either side if I'm doing that prop, so I'll stay away from it. I took a swing with Russell Wilson yesterday and a stinky performance, no interceptions, so a little egg in my face there. But I don't know. Najee 60.5, Jonathan Taylor 86.5. Let's see, rushing and receiving 105.5 for Jonathan Taylor. Maybe he gets some dump offs today and goes over that. So let me see if there's any TJ Watt to record a sack. Yes is minus 172. So that's that's a pretty much a given, I guess. There, I'll say instead of the minus 122, I'll say Minka Fitzpatrick plus 580 to have an interception.
There you go. I'll
get specific with it.
I like that one. That guy finds a way. Trust me.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else crazy, I don't think.
The hockey slate was kind of interesting today. There's a handful of games. Tomorrow's the bigger slate. There's two big games in the NHL. I was talking to Andrew McGinnis of Wager Talk today. You got the Devils at the Rangers. This Devils team is an absolute wagon. Overnight, Rangers minus 115. Public flocking to the Devils tonight. Now they're minus 112. Staying away from that one. Obviously, I would lead in the home team, but I'm not getting in front of that freight train. And this next one I'm going to talk about, I did the same thing with the Bruins last week. The Bruins were at Tampa on Monday or Tuesday. I stayed away because they had the Panthers the next night. So I was like, they're not winning both. They beat Tampa. We had them against the Panthers, and the Panthers beat them. Now, tonight, Florida goes to Edmonton. Overnight, Edmonton was minus 115. Now, Florida minus 112. But Florida then goes to Calgary tomorrow, and they're already Calgary's minus 135. So Here's kind of what I'm hoping in a nutshell, that Florida finds a way and beats Edmonton, and we'll be on Calgary tomorrow. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, I absolutely see it. So would you jump in on them tonight or hope that they lose and then take advantage tomorrow?
I'm hoping they win tonight.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I meant.
And then I'm all set for Calgary tomorrow.
Okay. As opposed, kind of like the MLB doubleheader type situation. You wait until the first one. Yeah. Just curious on that one. So yeah, I don't have anything crazy obviously with NHL. NBA wise, I'm keeping myself out of it. I'm just looking through. It's not after a feast week NFL. Just I imagine today's going to be a pretty lighter volume of betting going on for the general public. So maybe it's not quite the same type of lines that you would see on a heavily bet night. So I'm staying away from it for the most part. My Bulls are in Utah tonight. 1.5 2-point dogs. Utah's lost 4 in a row. This Bulls team is all over the place. I'll have my Bulls blog coming out. This game's a little bit later, but I'll have my Bulls blog coming out whenever we're done here. Kind of the situation where burned you once. I'm going back to the well again. Not for the Bulls necessarily. Nikola Vucevic, point total 16.5. 2 teams in a row where he should be scoring minimum 20 points. Again, in the Thunder's case, they're 27th, I think, in points per paint allowed. And with no real, they've got a 7-footer, but he's basically a small forward. Utah is dead last in the NBA in points per game allowed. And in that game the other day, he goes 5 for 7, I think, from 2-point range, maybe even 4 for 4 in the paint. And then they put him on the 3-point line, 1 for 7 from 3. Which is not a bad 3-point shooter, but games like this where you have no opposition, that can really slow down a guy like that. It's mind-boggling that they don't throw it into him. It was a really frustrating. Even if I hadn't had the over on him the first time around, I think he had 11 points in the first half and then 2 in the second half, and he's just living on the 3-point line. Or he's got a clear, easy, pin someone back. In the lane, but DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine got to get their points and got to get themselves going. So I love the talent that we have, but sometimes they just don't play to the matchups that we have, and especially in that case. I mean, a lot of people are critical of Vucevic, but when they don't give him the opportunities in these games. So if he doesn't get there and he's 1 for 7 from 3 and 4 for 4 from 2 points and he's staying under that point total, I'm going to be upset again. But going back to the well, to what I imagine would be a more concerted effort of getting him the ball in the damn paint and actually finishing some of these baskets. So that's where I'm going with the Bulls tonight.
I'm looking at the market here. There's a few games. Atlanta overnight, 1-point favorite. Now 76 is 1.5, going to 2 at Chris. Embiid, questionable there. So initially an Atlanta number, but maybe people are betting on the come as we speak. They're listening. Circa has now just moved that to 2. Hello, Jeffrey
right.
Benson and Matt. How are you guys doing? So there's one to keep your eyes on. Celtics 11 and a half overnight, now 10. Then just stay away from them. The two games that are eye openers to me. Your Bulls, 1.5. It is 2 at Chris right now. I think that's a Bulls number. Markkanen is questionable there for Utah. And the other one was the Sacramento Kings, where Phoenix opened up as a pick, now 1-point favorite. Little statement there that Phoenix is saying, all right, Sacramento, you've had the limelight long enough. Here we come. And I bet you if I come down here and I hit the info booth and Chris Paul is out. So I'm calling him Kawhi. He is Kawhi. He is Kawhi Leonard. That's all.
Yeah. And Sacramento, I mean, 106 and 104 points scored. Their offense has certainly regressed. So, that one's – I'll add one to you that I was interested in. I'm staying away from it. It kind of feels pretty spot on, honestly, the 5.5. But the Pelicans minus 5.5 over scrappy Thunder team. If it was 4.5, I might be more interested, in this. Whenever there's shorter lines with the Thunder, that's kind of an indication that they are pretty live. So it kind of felt like I don't know if statement is the right word for the Pelicans. I was interested in the Pelicans with, a lot of people love this Thunder team right now. But I don't know. I'm staying away from it. Feels like it could be fairly spot on there, the 5.5.
I agree. I'm going to go to one total here. Indiana and the Lakers, we got opening team totals 115.5 juiced under for Indiana, 119.5 juiced over for the Lakers. Corrected numbers or consensus lines right now 121 and 117, and overnight over 234.5, as high as 239 at Chris. You can get it right now at 237.5 on some offshores. 238 consensus on the Vegas Strip. I think that flies over. I think the Lakers probably today will get in the 125-ish, maybe 130. I could see the Pacers hanging around 115, 117, but I think this flies over into the 240s.
Okay, I like that one. The other one that seems a little the public's in love with, the over in the Raptors and Cavs game, I think it is here. A lot of public money on the over in that one, 216. Let's see. I don't think it's actually gone down a little bit. All right, maybe it went down and then now it's gone all the way back up a little bit. So it's kind of a roller coaster a little bit. But maybe that one's one to look for as far as that one, maybe staying under the 216. These teams have either been playing good defense or maybe their offense hasn't been really clicking. So I could see that one staying under as well.
Yeah, an overnight number initially of 107 for Toronto, 106 Cleveland. You've got an adjusted number now at Toronto -3. Corrected team totals now of Toronto 110, Cleveland 106. If I'm reading this correctly, you probably get a Toronto in that 107, 108, 109. And I think Cleveland will stay under the 106, maybe at that 100, 101, 102. So I like where your eyes are in the number. I'm starting to feel that Toronto gets a win and probably wins this 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Yeah, Toronto is one of these teams that I like. If you can figure out when they're going to start to, have a nice stretch, that's a good team to bet on. I'm a huge fan of Nick Nurse. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league. And when they're healthy and finally get some continuity, that's when they start to rattle off some wins. So I like this Toronto team in certain spots, and I think that could be a team 10-9 could be a team that starts to, not go to the top of the pack. And we're talking about them with the Milwaukee Boston range, but definitely kind of like they did last year, kind of got into that no doubt top 6 range. And rattle off some wins and be really, really competitive and solid team. So not sure if that's, this week or in a month or so, but at some point they're going to start to rattle off some wins for sure, in my opinion.
100%. Real not a good college hoops board. I mean, I'll close with this. Obviously, everyone knows season ticket holder for a handful of years at UConn. My oldest graduates. UConn gave me 100% bump on my season tickets. I said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not paying Ollie's $15 million check here. and you can go pound sand. Played to start the season a bunch of nobodies, and then this weekend beat Oregon by 28, beat Bama by 15, and then just beat Iowa State by 13. Have now climbed to number 8 in the country, and who's number 7 but Creighton? And so hats off to Mr. Hurley. Hats off to the Yukon Huskies. What a weekend. What a trip out west. Big East, Villanova missing Jay Wright real bad.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, probably will not be a lot of competition with Nova this year. So it's looking initially like a 2-horse field with Creighton and UConn for the Big East.
Yeah, and some scrappy teams as well, as I obviously but hats off. I got to give, as far as my Big Ten, I didn't realize, I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't realize the new rankings came out. Purdue jumping all the way from 24 to 20, from 24 to number 5 in the country. I mean, what a weekend for them. I told you I didn't expect them to get into this, and I think they'll regress a little bit here at some point, but I had them as one of my biggest underrated, or my most underrated team in the Big Ten. They hit Gonzaga. They just took down Duke last night. I didn't get a chance. Awesome games yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch any. I was out of town. Took down West Virginia, Marquette so far. So hats off to Purdue. I'm not sure what ACC team they've got. They've got FSU this week. So that's wish it could be a little bit bigger one there. But and not a huge schedule in December. So they could be. They could be a top 5 team by the time it comes to January Big Ten play, and maybe that's a good chance to bet against them as far as maybe some regression time once we get into Big Ten play. But they're obviously looking fantastic. UNC's kind of had something off about them as a number 1 team all season long. They finally lose. Obviously, what it looked like a fantastic game, but they've I think they've only covered 1 game so far. So. Their lines have been crazy inflated. Obviously, they're still a very good team. Are they the number 1 team? I don't know. Xavier Gonzaga last night looked like it was a solid game. I'm trying to think if there was any other ones to mention. I mean, Houston had a run for their money. They're still going to be up there. Now Virginia, I think, up to number 3. So Friday was an awesome day of sports, or college basketball as well. So, yeah, I'm interested. We've got ACC Big Ten this week, so I think starting tomorrow. So we'll have whatever the next time we talk, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about as far as Big Ten and ACC.
Yeah, and Purdue, hats off to them. It was I caught some of them late over the weekend, and I was looking at their matchup. Of course, when they face a high-profile team, they're not going to get the respect, and they just spanked them. Was it the Edey kid, right? 7'4"?
Yep. Exactly.
He's legit. Now listen. I'm not calling him the next, Yao Ming type, but he's good. He's good.
He is good. It kind of reminds me of, obviously he's different than the guy I'm about to mention, but kind of reminds me of that team of last year's Illinois team where comparing Edey to Coburn, obviously not the same guy. Edey's, 5 inches taller or whatever the hell it is, but a situation where if he's getting into trouble and they, a foul trouble and whatnot, then those games are obviously going to, the complexion of those games are going to change massively. But if he's, staying out of foul trouble and impacting the game, both ends of the floor, then he's going to be a huge factor and they're going to be really good. So, it'll be an interesting season for Purdue. I was wrong, actually. There's a couple of Big Ten ACC games tonight, but I think maybe 2 of the worst games that we've got in the entire, 3-day slate here. Only Minnesota, Virginia Tech, and then Pitt and Northwestern tonight, and then tomorrow there's a bunch of games, a couple of solid games tomorrow.
And by the way, I thought I saw on a tweet that they're cutting these out starting next year. Both of the, I don't know which, like the not the Pac-12, these tournaments. These conference chip. I read a tweet. I read it quick, so don't quote me on it. But there was a couple of these that were going to potentially get shut down. So maybe they're going to tournaments or whatever. I don't know. I'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, trying to see here. The Northwestern Pitt game did kind of surprise me at the number, and then I was breaking it down. They got your Northwestern winning by a bazillion here, and the same with Virginia Tech. by 12, and I got no read on that Minnesota team.
No, I didn't have a read on either of these games too much. I guess the only question I had with Northwestern, total of 128.5. They've been having games, 42 to 43 the other day. They've had a couple games where they're holding opponents under 50, a lot of games in the 50s. Is that too good to be true, and this one might actually be going over, or is that not adjusted to them enough yet? I think they're 6-0 to the under so far right now.
It's more on Pitt and their defense,
Okay.
and I think that's why I'm not going to touch the game. I'm not telling anyone to run to the window there. I think it actually does go over. It's like one of those games where you see Wisconsin or Virginia with a 130 or a 131. Yep. Usually just take the over and don't ask why, because you see those 112, 115, 118s. Yeah. Same as this one. That opened up my eyes. Good eyes there, Riley. And again, people are saying, whoa, if Northwestern's going to win by double digits here or somewhere around there, why is the total so high? It's because Pittsburgh's defense is that bad.
Okay, fair enough. It was interesting. I don't know. Yeah. It's tougher. I've got spots if I have to play an Illinois college game as opposed to, obviously it's not legal for us. I've got ways to do it, but not enough confidence to go that far out of my way. So, that was at least something to mention. 134.5 the other day, and then it ends 42 to 43. So I have to imagine if anyone's seeing that and what they've done, they'll probably go to the under. But would have liked it in the 120 or 1 teens if it was going to be that ugly. So that was interesting to see.
When it looks too good, guys, it usually is. Trust me on that. Tomorrow, 10:20 in the morning, the return of Julian Edlow from DraftKings. He is off his he had him and his wife had another child, so congrats there. He had a month and change off, so he'll be back tomorrow. I'll be doing, I'm assuming, the NFL Bet Exchange with Pop DiBiase from LA. Riley, at 3:20, as we speak, Siakam has been upgraded to probable, so maybe again that helps for the Toronto plays there on that game. I have a 3:20 out of office at the RMV. I've been waiting 3 months. I have to go get that real ID and upgrade on my license. So when I get back, I will reach out to you so we can get a closing bell for tomorrow.
Sounds good to me, my friend. I've got nothing else. The only thing we didn't mention is my man Jose Abreu. Which I knew he was jumping ship, but I would have been fine if he went to San Diego. I would have been fine if he came to your Red Sox or if he took the money with the Dodgers or something. But I was worried he was going to be a Cub and I was going to have to start to hate him. I didn't realize the Astros were that much of a possibility, and I've grown to really have a deep dislike for the Astros the past few years. So that's going to be tough to see. And obviously, if the White Sox turn it around or are back in business, might have to go through him over there, which is going to be a tough sight to see. So I was not happy to see that at all.
You know what? It might be a blessing. Here's the problem.
As far as leaving, I was okay. I understand him leaving. It was just, to Houston, it hurt a little bit.
See, he gets to get in the middle of a lineup is just long and longer. I mean, you got Altuve, who's aging. We know that. They got the sensation of Pena. You got Kyle Tucker. You got Alvarez. And Mancini will be gone. A handful of others will be gone. But the fact of the matter is it's perfect for him because you know why? He's been, I don't want to say carrying the White Sox, but, you plug him in, 280, 290. He's going to get 100 RBIs. He's going to get you 20, 30 homers. It's just that's what he gets you. And it is what it is. And now you put him in, the rich get richer. That's what my tweet was. Yeah. And it's a perfect landing spot for him because, listen, maybe he starts to go down like this. Listen, you made this move. You wanted Vaughn. You got Vaughn. It's not Mo Vaughn, right? I mean, it's not Mo, right?
No. It's going to help us out. It seems like they have a more sensical approach to this offseason as far as not being what you've coined very properly as a softball defense. Now you get Vaughn at first base. You get Buddy Eloy at DH, who was starting to look fantastic there. So just brought in Clevenger, who, obviously if we can get a bounce back from him, that helps our rotation. Where it seems like we're not going to make a big splash, but as opposed to last year where it was A.J. Pollock, Josh Harrison, a few Band-Aid spots, we're at least going to, address our needs and have, not the eye-popping stuff. I mean, Colton Wong, we were interested. It sounds like we're interested in for second base, and I imagine we're going to make an outfield move. So I'm hoping it's less of a Band-Aid move and at least more just moves that are really solid moves that make sense. And as long as our core guys are playing well next year, then we'll be a lot better than we were this past year.
Anyone that came late to the show, you can go back onto YouTube, Twitch. The show will be there. We have some props for tonight's games. The ECS VIPs, one hockey game tonight. It's been a great week. Hope everyone's enjoying Envelope Monday as we get ready to close out November and bring on December. Last month of 2022, January 1st, 2023, we will start our 8th year of public service, and we couldn't be happier as Mass gets ready to launch. We have a brand new office, studio, retail setting, a couple big screen TVs, NFL Blitz, Golden Tee. So some good times to come watch some games, to talk some shop, so you guys can learn what we've been preaching for 8 years. So we can't wait. We always have our partner in crime. And hey, Mr. PB, God bless you, Jesus. Long time no talk. A beast on the Twitter. Listen, you just popped in. So with that said, I'll throw them back so you don't have to go back through. My props for the night was Pickett to Pickens at plus 3-1, a Paris Campbell at 3-1, and I like over 4.5 receptions for Paris Campbell as well. Riley was on Pat Frymuth, and what was
I doubled down on your Paris Campbell, yeah.
On the Paris Campbell there. So, guys, thank you. Always great to see TJ PB in the house. Anyone else, you can retweet the show on social media. You can come by and say hi at any time. Myself and Riley will be back late tomorrow afternoon with the closing bell. Prior to that, Julian Edlow from DraftKings from 10:20 to 10:50. I'll be doing a Sportsbook Confessions at 9 a.m. with Dave Sharapan and Brady Tinker. And I'll do a show at 1 with Pop DiBiase from LA. And we'll be back in the afternoon. Last thoughts, sir?
Last thoughts, nothing crazy. Like I said, I'm taking it easy today. I guess Nikola Vucevic over 16.5 is my other play of the day, and that'll be on my Bulls blog coming out. So give me a view on that here in an hour or so, maybe less than an hour, hopefully. So nothing else from me, my friend. It was a huge, not only great holiday weekend, but great sports weekend and beyond feast week, whatever you want to call it. I guess go USA tomorrow. Hopefully, as far as that is concerned, hopefully we've got some positive things to say and not negative things to say 24 hours from now or around then when we talk. So that's what I'm holding out hope for. I'm obviously not a soccer guy, but get up for these World Cup USA games. So hopefully we're talking nicely about the round of 16 coming up for the USA tomorrow, my friend.
Yes, do or die. Expect a hard-fought 1-0, 2-1 win by the USA and move on. It looks like the cream's rising to the top here to get to the next round. So it'd be nice to see them advance and get in, and then we'll see what happens there. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day and evening. It's a new start of the week, guys. If you had a great week like the ECSI VAPs, just sprinkle a little something to scratch that itch. A couple more days and we start December. Board opens up tomorrow. We got the conference championship on Friday and Saturday. A lot to talk about, a lot of games to break down, and we can't do it without you guys. So thank you so much, and we'll see you bright and early in the morning.